Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane, and I'm here with my special guest today, Shri and Kira. How are you all doing?
Oh, we are so happy to be here with you, Shane.
Excellent. Thank you.
Well, honored to have you guys all the way broadcasting to us from Ecuador. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct. The Andes Mountains.
Very nice. Yeah, we were talking about you yesterday, Michelle and I, because she really appreciates the work you guys do, and you guys helped her so much through her sort of awakening and not feeling like she's going crazy and stuff, because you talk about all these energies that you're going to be feeling. And so I know you, it's wonderful to hear how much you help people on that individual level like that as they wake up. So thanking you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of her heart, because she wanted to thank you in person, but I did want to thank you for Michelle, because
well, thank you for that. And hi, Michelle.
We love you. Thank you.
It's truly our joy to be of service.
And it just we love watching people's dreams come true. I mean, that's really what Shri and I do, is help people accomplish their dreams. So this is just so exciting to hear this. Thank you.
Yeah, this is awesome. So you guys do so much stuff. And I also wanted to thank Alan and Sandra, of course, for connecting us up together. They're really a great connector of peoples, if you will, because we're all in the same team here.
Exactly.
And,
yeah.
So you guys have a radio show on Oneness Talk Radio, and
We do.
You've got your YouTube channel with your monthly energy updates, and you've got a new app that just came out. You want to talk about that for people that want to get it? It's a free app.
It's a free app, and it's amazing.
Yeah. No, thank you. We're delighted. It takes work to create an app.
This was like almost 6 months of love. I'll tell you that.
but this free app has audio meditations. It has daily inspirational quotes. The intention is take a time out from the routine of your stress and keep touching inward, keep touching to a higher place.
You know, when we designed the app, what our intention is that the world is kind of crazy right now. You know, there's just a lot of things happening. And then to be waking up in the middle of that is another moment of, oh my God, am I crazy? Am I insane? And how many times during the day would it be nice to just go to your phone, go to an app and go, you know what? Here is a moment that makes me remember who I am. Here is a moment where I find community, where I find support, where I find love. And we also, for the first time ever on this app, released, and this is all free, our Om, our sacred Om meditation. And that's a video on there. So there's so much, plus the player for Oneness Talk Radio is there as well. So you could just like go to your phone, open up, click, hey, let me just listen. So it's available all platforms, all formats worldwide. Apple, Google, Android, all of that, phone, tablet, and it's called Spiritual Mastery with Shri and Kira. And if you go to your App Store or your Google Play and you just type in Shri and Kira with an ampersand, Shri ampersand Kira, or type in Spiritual Mastery, you'll have no problem finding it, and download it. It's amazing.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, give us your comments. Let us know.
Yeah, if you guys like it, go ahead and leave a comment and rate it. That helps it get better ratings and get discovered, and I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy it. It's free, so
yes,
can't complain there.
No. And there's so much in it. And there are in-app upgrades if you wanted to. We have a personal mastery mentorship with Shri and I, monthly connections, lots of other stuff. But the free app is so big. That was our goal, was that everyone should have access to this information, and it should be easy, and it should be clean, and it should be quick. And so that was our sacred intention. And thank you. We're really excited, Shane. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, no problem. And I appreciate all the other information that's just free of charge on your website and
thank you.
Your YouTube channel and everything, because I know a lot of light workers are broke, so they appreciate being able to be connected.
Only until they really get in their groove.
Yeah,
and that's part of what we help them do.
One of the things we've learned over the years is that when you really line up your purpose, your passion with your heart, there's a magnetism that happens in your energy field, and you begin to attract to you the right people, the right career opportunities. Everything starts to click. Or to say it simply, you just start having good luck.
Yeah, because it's like the final part of spiritual mastery is recognizing that being broke is a myth. that being awake does not mean that you are not abundant. If anything, you now have the capacity to be the most abundant you've ever been in your life. You just need to be able to relax into trusting yourself and know how to harness that energy. And wow.
You know, it's an interesting topic and close to my heart, because so many people who have a deep level of compassion have kind of aligned up with this poverty energy. And, you know, abundance has nothing to do with money.
Right.
Abundance is flow. And as soon as people begin to tune into flow, to being in the right place at the right time, the rest of it falls into place. And money has been distorted in our cultures.
Oh yeah, it's a massive control mechanism.
It's important to kind of raise up a little bit, just move into the energetic of my needs are supported. Exactly. I serve others as I am served, and it just starts to happen.
Yeah. And when you're not afraid anymore, you know, when you just bounce into it, the universe gets a clear signal that you're ready for more. And so oftentimes we're the ones not giving the clear signal to the universe because we're sitting around, oh, I'm broke, I can't do this. Oh, if I'm spiritual, I'll be that.
Well, there's a declaration.
Well, exactly. And so, you know, the universe is infinitely patient and neutral. So if you're reciting all of this, the universe will give you exactly what you're reciting. So it's a question. It's not a question about what you say. It's really more a question about what you are really believing inside. And that's, I think, why, you know, 17 years ago, Shri and I were invited to bring the Yoga of Self-Ascension to the planet through the Archangelic Realm. And the one thing that we are very guilty of is saying yes. You know, we just keep saying yes all the time. And it has been one heck of a 17-year journey. I'll tell you that. It's been amazing. Yeah. And keeps getting better.
I think you guys touch on a really good point that, you know, a lot of light workers, starseeds deal with. And that's like finding this good balance between, you know, taking up your role and your purpose for life and feeling like you're too much into the ego. You know, it's like sometimes that fighting the ego thing can lead to inactivity rather than so it's like finding that balance. And it's the same thing with abundance. You know, a lot of people become content with, well, I don't need a lot. I'm good with just getting by or whatever. And they don't step into that role because that's the energy, like you're just saying, that's the frequency they're putting out. I'm content where I'm at. I don't need to be abundant and living, and not just money, but like, you know, in all areas. And I believe when you fall into your groove of purpose, like I have with starting this channel or whatever, things do just begin to fall into place, and you're much happier with what you're doing too. You know?
Oh yeah,
well said.
Absolutely,
well said.
Very well said.
And I just want to pick up on one point that you offered, and that is that we live in this world of duality. And so our consciousness, our psychology is originally kind of formed or seeded with this polarity.
Yeah.
and the evolutionary process is to move into oneness consciousness. However, the polarity has deep roots. And so when we, you know, sometimes we're subconsciously judging, you know, this is no good, or I'm not good enough, or they're not good enough, or whoever. And, you know, that teeter-totter of judgment will hold us back from the true flow that we deserve.
Yeah.
So every light worker, every healer, every person on the planet who truly says, I'm committed to awakening, is going to go through a self-healing. It's just part of it.
But that's also where a lot of people stop. Because in order to go through the self-healing, you got to be radically authentic with yourself. You have to have really the courage to look in the mirror and go, you know what? Everything that's happened in my life, I'm the common denominator, right? And so that takes a lot of courage. And it's also part of honing your spiritual mastery and your spiritual discernment is to say, I'm going to take responsibility for me, the good, the bad, the ugly. And when you do, it actually gets easier. You know, we're so afraid. And then the minute you make the leap, the minute you get on the other side, it's a kick. And you wonder why you ever, it's like, why did I ever not do this kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. That's been sort of this whole thing for me is like each step I take that I was nervous to take or to let go of old baggage and things like that. It's so liberating. You know, you don't realize how liberating it is until you take that step and do that. And you're like, oh, well, I've been carrying this stuff around for no reason.
Exactly.
You know? I could have let it go years ago. You know?
Yeah, well, that's because the ego likes it. The body likes it.
And you know what? No matter who you are, we all get to confront that moment of surrender, of just saying, okay, I'm going to trust, I'm going to let go. And that's the juice right there.
It's juice. I love it.
One of the things you said that comes back to me is this idea of we lie to ourselves really more than anyone, you know, and it's getting over that can also be liberating when you realize that, you know, like you said, being honest, looking in the mirror and really being honest at what do you really know, and can you really trust that you'll continue forward? We've made it to this point. I always say that. I'm like, I made it this far and I had no idea what I was doing. So I trust that now as I begin to awaken and learn more, that I'll just continue to progress along my journey, however that plays out, and not to really be too judgmental about other people. Everybody's on their own place on the road.
Exactly.
Well, and one of the things we like to say is your soul knows the way. This isn't about religion. This isn't about dogma. It isn't about brain learning. It's about self-trust, to empower yourself to allow the soul's wisdom to come forward and guide you.
Well, that's what I was just hearing you say, Shane. And that's what I was so delighted to hear as you were sharing, because you're using the T word, and that is a big word. You want to talk about a TRUST. You want to talk about a 5-letter word? It's trust. And it's all about trust, especially when we realize that we all chose to be born into the world of no trust. What could be more perfect than having to evolve into the trusting blessing that we are through the contrast, through everything that's happening. And that's actually why these times are not as horrible as they may seem on the surface.
Yeah, I've been noticing that too. The more I come out of it, the more I realize, I don't even need to be a part of all that chaos going on. It's separate. It's a separate thing. I've got my own thing going, and my own sphere of influence of things I can affect within, my relationships and things like that. And I have complete control over that. All that other stuff out there, I don't even need control over, I don't need to get sucked into it.
And by disengaging, you're not empowering it either.
Exactly. Yeah.
There is there's so many little avenues of mastery that we get to practice. And one of them is this detachment.
Yeah.
It's like a loving indifference. It's like, okay, they can go play that game if they want to, and I'm not rejecting them. I'm just choosing not to participate.
Yeah.
Right.
Every voice deserves to be heard. It doesn't mean you have to agree with them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, so a lot of our viewers are, we're looking at this, a lot of us anyway are kind of waking up. We're new to this whole thing. We see people's been waiting around for ascension and this sort of a change in vibration and energies and things like that. And you guys have your own sort of timeline of how you see this all playing out. Can we get into that? That's what Michelle was talking about yesterday that I thought was super interesting, of how you guys see this all playing out.
Well, thank you. I first want to share that it is certainly not our timeline. We just are, like I mentioned, we just say yes to the ascended realms. And the information that came through around this ascension escalator actually came in while we were living in Guatemala. Shri and I spent 7 years living with the indigenous elders of the Mayan. And during that time, this was right around before 2012, we were very, very blessed to be their confidants. We were very, very blessed to be trained in the shamanic ways and the ancient ways. And we simultaneously were working with them on the crystalline ways. And one of the things that they asked that we wrote about in some of our books was that the truth be said about 2012, that the Mayan culture had felt very ripped off, that people were capitalizing on their culture, that it was absolutely not what they predicted to be the end of the world. But, and we wrote about this in our book, 2013 Mayan Sunrise, we have been very clear that the true ascension escalator actually is a 7-year window from 2015 through 2022. And that the 3 years from 2012 to 2015 were like a settling of energy.
It was a beginning of the launch.
It was just the beginning of energy that was coming together. And so here's what's so phenomenal, right? So here we are at 2019. How did that happen? And we are, it's like, oh my gosh. And so we have just been reinserted. 2018 was an anomaly. And if you look back at 2018, you can very clearly tell that in 2018, it was like, what happened this year, right? 2018 was literally a moment. It was the year of becoming stable in Shanti-Bhakti and Ananda. Shanti-Bhakti, Ananda, peace, love, joy. And so 2018 was filled with the energy that would force you to have to really go inward, that would force you to start looking at yourself, that beautifully woke up a lot of people. I'm sure you've seen that with your own channel, Shane, know, and everybody coming in. But it was a moment where we were still writing history, so to speak, because nothing is set in stone. We are all co-creating it. However, we are co-creating it from an energy that is new for everyone. And we have all, what happened was we opened up this 9th dimensional presence. And so the twinning Earth, which started in 2012, the big twinning, where we went 3rd and 5th dimension and kind of this twinning Earth came together. In the middle of last year, the 7th dimension opened. And then to all of our surprise, the 9th was sitting right there saying, hey, everything is escalated.
So what it's doing is it's creating a multi-dimensional frequency, kind of an overlay. And people's consciousness, you can choose, where am I going to plug in? And if we are in the habit of living in density, in 3rd dimensional reality, yet our heart is saying, I want to lift, you're going to have some tough energies to navigate.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And if we've lifted a little, yet more is being presented. You know, we kind of said, okay, I'm into this 5th dimensional sense of things.
And I think a lot of people are starting to get that.
The unity consciousness is more real to me. Love and oneness, all of that's more real. Yet there's the 7th and 9th dimensional overlay, which is basically saying to your body, let go of the old trauma imprints, let go of perhaps the way you've been eating and the way you've been living, because it'll make it uncomfortable.
And a lot of people are uncomfortable. And this is why this Friday, as a matter of fact, Shri and I are putting out the 2019 Crystalline Ascension Symptoms, because now that we are reinserted, imagine a timeline, right? So here's 2017 and here's 2019. We've kind of done this. We've brought it back together again. So everyone has the blessing right now of, I don't want to use the word a redo, but everyone has an opportunity to relaunch your dreams. What are your dreams? What dream in your life did you think never came forward? This is the moment
right now
to launch that. And I know to people of 3D consciousness, this sounds so crazy. I get that. I really do get that with all my heart and soul. And when we talk about all this multidimensional stuff, I know that can just be like so outside. But you know what? Go do the research. This is not outside anything. If you need the left brain documentation, you're not ready to anchor in a higher dimension. And if you get the left brain documentation, it might relax your mind enough to allow you to lift up, you know, so it's a win either way.
There's a lot of quantum physicists talking about the multi layers of reality and these multiple timelines. And we're not here to offer any analytic perception. We're only here to invite people to kind of let go of any rigidity and be available to what's being presented, because you may find it will uplift you, and greater peace, love, and joy are the result.
And so all this multidimensional stuff, all this frequency stuff, what is it? It's ascension. In order to ascend, you need to be able to not get rid of the body, allow the body to relax, allow the body to feel safe. And the way we describe this is comfort it like a little baby in the car seat in the back. Give it toys, give it its favorite juice box, buckle it in, and let it have a great time, but you're in the driver's seat.
That's good advice. So that really gets back into getting into that zone where you're just really enjoying life, doing what you...
Joy is important.
Joy is your measure. Joy is the signal from the soul.
Well, what do you think is good advice for those who are just sort of waking up and they're like, trying to find their purpose?
A couple things I would share right away. And one of them is, and forgive me for sharing, but if you go to our YouTube channel, Official Shri and Kira, watch the video about the spiritual essentials. Because if you're just waking up, there are 7 to 8 spiritual essentials that if you are really serious, like you're waking up and you're really serious and you say, you know what, I get this. I get this at a deep level. I don't know that I understand it. I don't know, and
something's happening.
Something's going on. And sometimes we're afraid, right? Sometimes when people first start waking up, they get very afraid because there are plenty of beings on the planet that don't want you to wake up. So they want you to be afraid.
And they might be in your family.
Oh yeah. My mother absolutely told me the devil had gotten me. I mean, more than once I was the devil's child. I'm like, yeah, but I thought I was your child. And
ergo, you're the devil.
Ergo, devil, right. But the gift is we all choose our parents, right? So it always begins with your family of birth and your family of origin. So if you're just waking up, the first thing that we would encourage you to do is sincerely become grateful for your birth family. Because no matter what, and believe me, we could talk about all the stuff, right? No matter what you've been through, they played their role perfectly or you wouldn't be waking up. So the whole reason you're waking up is because everyone conspired and did their role perfectly. That's a very healing moment, because in that moment, you enter into the recognition that, wait a minute, this really is proceeding. And what would there be to be afraid of? And then the one thing that we really recommend in our spiritual essentials is don't clutter yourself with watching everybody. You can make yourself, you can literally wake up and go right back to sleep again.
You'll derail yourself if you get into overload.
Find what resonates for you. And what we suggest is take 1 year. Find, do your research, but here's a couple of basics that the Archangelic Realm shared with us early on. It's in our first book, Sacred Union, The Journey Home, great book to read. And what the Archangelic Realm said was this: if anything ever leaves you feeling higher or lower, meaning there's a sense of hierarchy, or it makes you feel bad about yourself, or it causes you to feel negative about others, or judge others, it's not of the highest, right? And so how do you feel after you connect with someone? Do you feel uplifted or do you feel drained? No matter what's coming out of their mouth, how do you feel?
Yeah, right here.
Pay attention, because what you're training is your energy body. Your mind has had plenty of training. You've had your whole life to train your mind, right? So if you're waking up, train your heart. Let your, the wisdom of the heart is actually much more advanced than the wisdom of the mind, but we keep being in battle with that. So if you take 1 year and find a teacher or a teaching or whatever resonates with you, or a practice, really give yourself the gift of seeing what it does for you. And if at the end of this year, what it did for you was learn that that is not your way, you still won, because you have mastered spiritual discernment. And spiritual discernment is one of the most important stepping stones for your mastery. And the only way you learn spiritual discernment is by getting kicked around a little bit. You might have found a false prophet or a book you thought was great or something that didn't work. Well, okay. But the key is not to be angry about it. The key is to see it for the gift it is, that it has unlocked your mastery.
Yeah, definitely. And I've been noticing a lot of that stuff too, where, you've got things in your past you've been through, and while they might seem like a mistake on the surface, especially if you're just getting through them, you start realizing that you did go through them. They were a stepping stone to greater understanding and greater experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes just a little distance in order to have a clear perspective.
And this is also what this time is about, Shane. Remember that 2019 is the year of divine awareness. And so divine awareness is actually a mastery step, because to become aware of what is really going on is actually another step in mastery. And so that's what's happening globally or universally this year. And so it's a very power-filled and beautiful moment.
So let's get into a little bit of what you see going on. Here we are at the beginning of 2019, and you just did a great video on this, but we can, I guess, paraphrase. I guess you were mainly focused on February in the video, but how do you see this month and this year kind of moving forward?
Well, that's a great question. And, the first thing I would share is that we are in a very important moment right now. I know Shri and I were just saying that earlier, that it's like right now, which is why I found the timing of our coming together right now so divine. Yeah. Because we're in, if there was to be a magic moment of 2019, it's right now, and it will be December. So these are the two magic moments. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't plenty of magic throughout the year, so I don't want to be misunderstood there. But what I'm saying is, right now, before February 19th, so we still have, what is today, whatever, the 13th. I love that we're on the 13th. So we still have I love that number.
It's a good number.
It's a great number. So we still have 6 more days. So anybody who's catching this live or in the next 6 days, what is your dream? And are you really focused on it? And are you really clear on it? And if you can stay out of the chaos, because there's going to be plenty of chaos in the outside world, and really anchor that focus between February 19th and April 16th, we are entering another phase. And during that time, we're going to have this Mercury retrograde, right? And that Mercury retrograde is going to be like the whole month of March. However, here's the gift. We're actually in the retrograde energy right now. That's what's so weird. Everything is upside down. Everything is just, it's so Kali Yuga. And so have you noticed, I bet a lot of your listeners right now, have you noticed that it feels like you're in a retrograde, like you're having to do stuff twice?
Yeah, or technology's misbehaving.
Like totally freaking out right now, like stuff that doesn't make any sense. And it's like, wait a minute, the retrograde is until March. Well, that's because we're in quantum time. So we've got to stop thinking linearly. So the gift that many people haven't been able to see, because you can't see this energy unless you're looking at it from the 9th dimension. And this is where we talk about, you need to learn how to be the witness, witnessing the witnesser. And so that's how we lift. Yeah. So what is this year about? It's about taking the blessing of living in a higher dimension, widening our lens, seeing the truth, claiming our authenticity, and igniting our divine awareness. And we accomplish that, miracles happen. Miracles happen. And that's what this year is about. We can create a miracle this year. We really can. We can turn it around before 2020. And I'm covered in chills. Can you see my chills? Look at this. I call these truth chills. I'm covered in chills as I'm sharing this with you.
It's important to remember that life is filled with opportunity. And there's two little points I want to share. One of them is, I'm a former sailor. And, you would look at the weather report. Is it a good day for sailing? Is there going to be sun? Is there wind?
And he's single-handed the inside passage. This guy's a sailor.
And so when we do our revelatory information, our predictions, it's a weather report.
It's really what it is.
It's an energetic weather report. And so
hey,
now,
honey, what's the weather?
So is it a good day to be manifesting your dreams? Absolutely. And that's what it's about. Right now is a good time to take your time out, vision what's important to you, get clear, be willing to take the risk to stand up for what you believe and know.
And then download the app so that you have constant support. You always have your phone with you. That's why we did the app. I just, Shane, forgive me, but we were so like, what can we do to help more? Because I kid you not, I get 1,000 emails a day just about. And I can't keep up with them. I try, and I always send somebody an energy, but that was what inspired the app, was like, okay, if you are in that moment, you need something right then and there. You need it quick. You need it then to remind you, you are not crazy. Yeah. You are not alone. You have a huge family out there. You just need to know where to find them.
You get to get introduced to them, because our spiritual family is far bigger than your family of origin.
And far older.
But and sometimes your family origin is part of that. So this isn't.
And sometimes it's not. It's okay either way.
One more thing, we're getting all animated here, and I love it.
Sorry, we get so excited about this.
It's perfect.
The truth is the resurrection energy. Whenever you start lining up with truth, there is this upswell of energy. And the one thing Kara shared about 2019 that I want to underscore is it's the year of divine recognition and awareness. Now, what that means, this isn't about religion. This isn't about an interpretation. It's what it's saying is the energy behind the appearances shall be known. Because we are all divine beings having our worldly experience, right? So as you look out there, what it's saying is you, all of us will be able to see other people's authenticity more clearly. We're going to be able to see through the illusion of advertising and politics.
We call it radical authenticity. We've been talking about this for a couple of years now.
And so what happens when we begin to notice that there's a lot of BS and there's some truth and some of it's hidden, is we sometimes move into a little period of disillusionment where it's like, oh my God, it's not what I thought it was, or they're not as honest as I thought, or etc. That's okay. We have to look past that also. To recognize that every being out there is operating according to whatever software they got up here in their head. They're doing the best they know how. and you're beginning to see through their illusions as well.
And when you move into that multidimensional space, your compassion goes like this, but it's empowered compassion, versus in the third dimension, compassion often becomes a disempowered energy that causes people to stop, right? It has a very conditional experience around it. And I know that can be a hard one to wrap around, but there really is a level of empowerment that needs to be behind the energy, or you're just, quite frankly, spiraling in the same dimension with better words.
Definitely. Well, you guys seem like you really got it together. Every time I watch you, I'm like amazed at how well you seem to be really sovereign beings living out purpose. And it's so inspiring to see you guys like that. I think an interesting topic, because, we've had, of course, Alan and Sandra on talking about twin flames.
Sure.
You guys are, what is it, a divine union? Or
we're a union soul.
A union soul. Now,
yeah, it's actually
I hadn't
rarer.
heard of that.
Yeah.
So can you explain what that is for people that just don't know?
Sure.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It was an eye-opener for me. You know, having a few years under my belt, I've been through some relationships and had a couple of marriages.
Just a few. I only had 5 marriages. That's 3. We're at 8 together.
Anyway, you keep repeating something until you learn. That's just the way we are. So without that,
so you realize you're the common denominator, right?
Right.
my previous wife, when I
number 2.
Yeah. The first one didn't count.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's first pancake.
Number 2.
That was a 1-year marriage. That didn't count.
My third was 3 months.
Stepping stones. You know, no offense to them, but stepping stones.
No. They just helped me realize what I really wanted.
True.
Right.
Anyway. True.
Anyway. I almost forgot. Oh yeah, here we go. Most relationships have a karmic underpinning. Mm-hmm. That is to say, you get this excitement in your heart, in your body, when you bump into somebody because you have some sort of unfinished business together, or an opportunity, or a karmic contract. So I got my marriage prior to finding my beloved Kira was one of these karmic relationships. We needed to come together. But once we healed what needed to be healed, there was no reason to stay together other than convention.
And they were both awake enough to recognize this is complete. And so you can have a loving divorce, recognizing, and she's now really happy remarried, and Shri and I came together.
We're really happy remarried, and it's all as well.
It's not a failure to recognize that you are complete and that you have actually completed a karmic agreement. And here's the key, is that once you finish a karmic relationship, you are ready for true partnership. And there is a distinctive difference. And we write extensively about that in our book, Sacred Union, The Journey Home.
And so this is the segue to the twin flame energy.
Right.
There are 4 basic soul groups on our planet. And these soul groups have evolved and permutated a little bit.
Now, I want to jump in because you might go, wait a minute, how did that come in?
Well, I don't want to go there unless you feel it's appropriate.
Just that in our book, sure. 2012, You Have a Choice, Zodkiel gave us all that information.
So what I'm leading up to is we are what is referred to as a union soul, which is literally one soul that was split into 2 pieces, and those 2 pieces went about having their lives, their incarnations. And when a union soul comes back together with its other half, it is that dynamic twin flame energy, because it's a grand reunion. Right. Together, we have more energy, more capacity than we had. You know, the sum of the parts is beyond.
And here's the difference. So a traditional twin flame is what Archangel Zodkiel refers to as a dual. It's 2 souls that actually are that belong together, versus we are literally one soul's energy split in half, which is why when I do Archangelic Ensoulments, the only reason I didn't start doing them till we came together, literally because the other part of my soul can be held by him. And so that's how this is able to happen.
So one of our gifts that we've been honored to have is that when Kira is able to leave her body completely, no ego remnant whatsoever, I'm holding her soul. The ascended master, the Archangelic Realm, enters, delivers a message, and then leaves, and I help her reanimate. Now, this sounds crazy. It's true, because she literally has a momentary death while she comes and pops into the wholeness over here.
And that's why in 1989, I died of cancer. It turned out that the whole reason I had my near-death experience was literally to help my physical body remember how to physically die and reanimate. And I didn't know that until we got together. So it's always interesting to see how everything comes back together in your life.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, just to put a wrapper on it, it may be a little more succinct. So what we have learned is there's 2 types of twin flame souls. There's the duals, which are like mirrors.
Which are the most common, because there's a lot of duals out there.
And then there's the union souls, which are literally 2 halves coming together. And then other folks have their own sacred relationships. You know, there's the sacred and partnerships are available to all beings.
Yeah, because the other soul groups is you have the Omni, and an Omni is someone who's really good with God, good with themselves. They could have a partner, but they don't have to have a partner. And then the final one is the multi-expressional. And the multi-expressional is someone that's here to go, I want to try it all. You know, I'm here to do everything.
And everybody.
And it all very right. And really, if you want to learn all about this, get our book 2012, You Have a Choice. And it's, believe me, the only thing we did wrong on that book was put 2012 in the title. But there's charts in there, and which soul groups go better with other soul groups, how to identify soul groups, how to know your own soul group. And once you identify your soul group, it gets kind of easy. And things make sense.
So how did you guys come together to figure all of this out? Was it?
We met online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, spiritualsingles.com. That's where we met.
It was a different service back then.
It was a different world back then.
Yeah,
this was like 18 years ago.
San Diego. But the long and the short of it is we had reached a point in our lives where we knew there was something more, someone who was the true, appropriate, at that time I called it my soulmate, my real soulmate. And then my discernment filters got more active, and I realized it was truly a union partnership. Mm-hmm. And so I began looking, Kira began being receptive, and we just found each other. It was magic. It
was really one of those magical moments where we had both gotten to a point in our lives where we would have rather been alone than be with a person that was not
no more compromise.
There was zero compromise on our spirituality. Our spiritual growth was our number one thing. The way we eat, the way we want to live, the way we want to dress and be, you know, and there is a blessing when you can be with what is your true partner, where you don't have to be hiding who you are anymore. I mean, imagine if you're not hiding who you are, imagine how much more you can do. If so much energy is going into, I just can't be myself. Oh, you don't know who I live with, or you don't know this. Well, you know what?
Compromise too
you
much.
Can change that. It just means you're afraid. And I get that. I get that with all my heart and soul. I mean, I went through 4 really crazy marriages, and I get that. And there is a moment where each of us, and I'm sure, Shane, you've had this experience, where each of us gets that moment where it's like, you know what? Enough. You know, I'm just going to be me.
If not now, when?
And you know, it's amazing. The minute you start being yourself, it just gets so much easier, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does. Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
So did you guys know right away, or did it take you a while to sort of figure it out?
Oh, no. This is crazy. Okay, I get his first email, and to this day, I remember the subject line. The subject line was escalator to expansion. And I remember, Shane, my heart stopped. I sat there on my computer, and I didn't even open the email. I just looked at the subject line and went, oh my God. I'm like, if I open this email, my whole life is going to change.
Box.
Yeah, literally. So, and I didn't care what he looked like. I didn't care. I just knew this was it. And there was like this deep, deep knowing. And so wrote him, and we started talking every night within like 2 days.
You know, it's an interesting thing to meet somebody who's 3 states away, and we began sharing, and we realized we were learning the same lessons, life lessons.
At the same time.
In the same month and year, even though we had
It was freaky.
You know, and you know the thing, when you meet somebody, you pull out your emotional scrapbook and you share some stories. You know,
here's my emotional scrapbook.
You know, these were the critical incidents in my life, and we began sharing some of these things, and we're going, oh my God, you were doing that at the same time I was doing that.
Even though there's an age difference between us, same year. Same everything. It was very freaky. And so 1 month later, we meet in Sedona. And this whole story is in our first book. I'll really shortcut it, but we meet in Sedona. And after a 5-day period where most of those times Shri was freaking out that I was too tall, too dark, whatever, even though I had sent him real photos.
My ego flared.
You know, so he was in the brown territory. And so it's like, dude, this is what it's about, you know? And by day 5, we were so clear. He went back to San Diego and moved into my place in Colorado a month later. And our first book was published 60 days later. And we were married 2 days after that.
Wow.
No, it was wild.
It was fast track from the moment. You know, and to me, it's symbolic. If you make a commitment and your heart and your soul are behind that commitment.
It's like time doesn't matter anymore.
It's bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
It just goes.
And here we are 17 years later, it's probably stronger than ever. It's been extraordinary.
So what did you have to do to figure out that you were the whole soul union thing, did you find that out right away? I mean, was it?
No.
We didn't have the words to describe
We didn't
what
understand
we were feeling.
it. We just
I hear a lot of that.
Experiencing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was Zodkill. That was Archangel Zodkill.
Well, let me share this little anecdote because it carries a picture. So Kira and I are walking the trails in Sedona, you know, beautiful red rocks and
Bell Canyon
and Boynton Canyon and all. Yeah. And we're just sitting there taking in this lovely view. It's late in the day. The sun's beginning to set. All of a sudden, Kira goes, oh.
Now, he's a psychotherapist. Can you imagine?
She falls down, and I'm going, what, did she faint? And then in about 3 seconds later, you know, I'm out focused. I'm going, what the heck's happening here? And I feel this anxiety. And all of a sudden, she sits up, oh, spine totally straight, her eyes wide open. And there's this voice that comes out that says, hello, we are so glad to be with you.
Can you imagine?
It is kind of, I'm trying to fake the voice a little. It's like an Eastern European happy person. And
we've had that described to us more than once.
And I'm going, okay, as a therapist, I'm mentally scrolling through the DMS-4 book. What is this? The psychic break? Is she a borderline personality? You know, and then that's all happening in milliseconds as I'm holding her shoulders, and I'm looking in the eyes, and what I feel coming out of these eyes is golden light, purest love. And all of a sudden my mind stops the BS, and I'm just looking, and I say, who are you? Because I realized she was channeling is what I thought that was. And Archangel Zodkill introduced himself, and he basically said, we are here to offer you energy, information, and guidance should you want it. It's your decision to accept.
We've always been given the decision every step of the way. It's always been, should you decide. Nothing has been forced on us. We have not been forced to do anything. It's been very kind.
And this kind of ties back to, okay, people who are awakening, there's no need for conformity.
Nope.
There's no need for dogma.
Nope.
There's no need for any sense of judgment of higher, lower, better than, less than. And when we can move into that zone around a teaching or a truth, you're going to benefit. As long as you remember, those are the criteria of the heart.
Yeah, the one thing I've discovered with this whole journey is the more you can let go of that baggage, the faster you can grow, because all that does is create blocks and hold you back. And
right. I mean, but that's what it's
liberating.
Yeah, it's playing its role perfectly, right?
You know, and we love being in the role of mentoring because people get to share, okay, I'm struggling with this or that. And to be able to lovingly share that with somebody and to say, well, what do you think is best? You know, what is your heart telling you? People find the courage to act on their heart rather than diagnose. You
know, we learned a long time ago that you can have 1 year's spiritual experience repeated 20 times. That doesn't mean you've grown in 20 years. Right? Whereas with Shri and I, blissfully, and maybe because we're just so silly, we just keep saying yes, over the past 17 years, I've really come to the point where I'm very clear that spiritual mastery is on-the-job training. That the past 17 years, always more. And that if you start thinking you know it all, if you start thinking you've reached this epitome of mastery, that's when you should really start paying attention to what is infiltrating you. Because the reality is, as long as you're carrying this body and we're all playing in this world of illusion right now, there's always going to be more. And isn't that awesome? You know, it means that every year we're better. Every moment, every breath, we're better. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is a journey, and it is all about the journey rather than some specific, you know, I guess, finale that we all sort of hope for sometimes. But it just moves us to a higher realm where we continue to grow.
Exactly.
That's how
in a world of infinite expansion, we best enjoy the ride.
Yes.
Very true. Well, we have more people here now than earlier when you mentioned the app. So I wanted to, if you could say the name again, so those at the top of the right, you got the free app, and the name was?
Yeah, it's Spiritual Mastery with Shri and Kira, ampersand, Shri ampersand Kira. And it's available all platforms, all devices worldwide, Apple, Android, Google Play. Just go in and search for Shri and Kira or search for Spiritual Mastery and download. It's that easy.
Awesome. Now, you said you have something coming out on Friday. Is that going to be on your YouTube channel?
It will be on our YouTube channel, and that is the 2019. Every year, Sheree and I think we've been putting out Ascension Symptoms, quite frankly, I think longer than anybody. We've been putting them out for like, oh my gosh, 13, 14 years. And we're putting out the 2019, and this is important because these are unique. And we're getting a lot of emails. There's a lot of people already having these, and we're trying to get this out now because people need reassurance. This is an intense year and an intense moment of symptomology, and it's different than it's been in the past.
What's happening is that because of this dimensional overlay that Kira mentioned, or call it a portal opening, these higher frequencies are more available. And when we begin to inhale these frequencies, because our soul wants to lift, we have this inner yearning to awaken more fully, there are reactions. Call them symptoms. I remember reading once years ago that the Buddha said, as I began to awaken, my bones hurt.
It's in the it's in the sacred literature.
And I just discarded that. And then when my bones began to hurt, I remember reading about that, and I didn't have to run to a doctor. I wasn't afraid anymore. And that's why we like to publish this. We only speak that which we've experienced, because that's what authenticity dictates. These are not concepts.
No, this is, and normally what seems to have happened is that we tend to go through these about a year earlier than we release them all, so that by the time we're releasing it, a lot of times people are like, oh my God, I've been feeling that, or I've been having this too, or oh yeah, I see that. But it gives us the blessing of being able to say with absolute confidence, you can do this, and there are ways to do it.
And so these frequencies and experiences, there's so many because we're all unique.
Right.
But, the most common ones that people have been touching into for many years are things like the vision blurring or hearing ringing in the ears.
Dizziness.
Those kinds of things. Yeah. Because as Archangel Zadkiel says, sometimes you get dimensional dementia.
Don't you love that?
He says that you're actually straddling multiple dimensions. And so you'll have a moment where you walk into the room and go, why am I here? What did I come in here for?
And it's because you're literally learning. Your body is learning how to adapt to these shifts. And that's going to get bigger. And I do want to share, Shane, maybe you want to try too if you haven't tried it yet. At our website, ShreeandKira.com, right now on the homepage is this cosmic portal practice that came in.
Oh, powerful.
Do it, do it, do it, because it really is helping. I am getting so many emails from people who are like, oh my God, I finally saw the other side. I finally get it. And this practice was given, a blessing given to us a few weeks ago. And if you really work, and there's a little video there, it's only at our homepage, ShreeandKira.com. Go click on it, watch the video, learn the practice, because you can do it at night before you go to bed. You can be laying in your bed and do it. But the more that you can give reassurance to this physical body
has its
mind,
own IQ,
it needs just something to say, oh, okay, I get it. You are in charge. Because you're literally having to retrain everything in your consciousness to say, you know what, relax, settle down, the soul is here, and the infinite wisdom is here, and let's go for a ride. Let's make it fun.
Now, these unity frequencies or energies that's coming in, is that an aid to helping people let go of baggage? Because Jen had a question from the chat saying, how do you let go of baggage?
Great question.
Is there like a, because people need help. Because a lot of it's so ingrained, especially if it's like religious. And like I know for me, it was like from the moment I was able to talk, I was bombarded with dogma and all this, and it's some of it's so ingrained that you don't even realize you're doing it, but you'll just have a certain
that's very, very true.
We have several suggestions that will help, but the first one I want to say to you is have mercy on yourself.
Yeah, please.
Have mercy on yourself.
Please, you're doing it just fine.
You're doing the best you know how, given all of that enculturation, all that dogma.
Yeah, Jen, love you more, baby.
And so it does take some tenacity and some focus to keep bringing your attention on, let's just call it a higher frequency for now, or a more rarefied, because we have to kind of train our psychology to let go of the habit of pain.
So that's the first thing. Archangel Zadkiel in our first book talked about the habit of the pain of the pain. And that's what this is. That's what the baggage is. And so a couple of things that we could offer just right here, right now, that really work and are simple. Number one, the mantra of self-ascension. Every time you think you're spinning out, every time you think you just can't handle it anymore, it's 4 lines. I am here. I am ready. I am open. Guide me. It is non-dogmatic, hand on heart. And you know what? And if you're really funky, like if you're really in one of those depression, angry, and you can't get out of it, you can even sit there and go, I am here, I am ready, I am open, guide me. But just keep saying it, and you'll be blown away at what it does, because it's sending a higher signal of energy into your body, and hand on heart is the instant reassurance.
The other thing is, you know, as a former psychotherapist, I spent many years helping people unwind and detangle imprints. But what they were doing, the field of psychology, was mostly about giving you a higher functioning ego. Coping skills. Now that's good.
It's a good way to begin.
It's a beginning.
Yeah.
But truly, the path of awakening is being able to transcend the grip of the ego, not to discard it, but do not let it be so influential.
Just repeat, this is not real. You know, really burn that in. This is not real.
It isn't, but
it's not.
But you have to have a sense of what is real, which is you're going to find it in your heart. And so there's one other practice I want to share for this person and all others. There's a beautiful practice. You'll find it at SriandKira.com. It's called the container practice.
It's listed on our website. When you go to the top, it's listed underneath Yoga of Self-Ascension. There's like 20 different free practices. They all work. They're right there. And
so the key here is when we're triggered, when we're having some form of BS in our life, that you go, not that again, or I'm so angry, or I'm so hurt.
Oh, again.
And then the negative tapes start spinning.
Oh yeah, you guys know this spiral, right?
So that's, have mercy on yourself, number one. Number two, the container practice is we use the energy of light to discard that which no longer serves us.
Because it's
and we're not going to teach it here, but
it's just energy.
Emotions are just energy.
And you're just believing they're real. So go to SriandKira.com, right at the top, Yoga of Self-Ascension, let that drop-down list come down, and for sure learn the container practice.
The container practice and the mantra will take you through any storm.
They will. And then you can go beyond.
That's very nice. Another free resource that's excellent. I do have your web address on the screen. And for those who's just joining in late, there are 3 links you'll find in the description box below. One takes you to their website. One takes you to the Oneness Talk Radio channel. And then the other one is their YouTube channel, where you will find all the things we've been mentioning with the energy updates and everything.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So what do you guys got planned as far as, I know Michelle was talking about doing like a retreat or something down there.
Well,
there's a cool retreat coming up.
If you go to SriandKira.com, you should check this out, Shane. Check out our cosmic origins. So we're doing this awesome retreat. We're doing it at both the June solstice and the September equinox. And as a matter of fact, just yesterday, Shri and I were down in Cuenca at the Aboriginal Museum, because we're very blessed to be dear friends with the curators, literally holding the ancient astronaut artifacts in our hands. So, I almost passed out. I'm making a little video of it.
That's cool.
Just for those of you that, just to get you lined up, whether you watched Ancient Aliens or have read Zecharia Sitchin's work, there are some pottery figurines that show the headgear, the breathing tubes.
We were holding them.
I had one in my hand.
In our hands. My God.
It was 5,000 years old.
So check this out. So Tosa Blue Mountain Sanctuary. And if you go to our website under the Explore, you can learn a little bit more about that. We also do amazing San Pedro journeys. And so all you need to do is just get down here for one of our cosmic origins, because we're going to be doing Mayan ceremony. We're going to be going to the museum. We're going to be touching those ancient artifacts. I'm going to be doing an ensoulment while we're with them. Plus, we're able to do ceremony with the original 2,500-year-old Incan artifacts at the museum. Plus, we're going to go to Ingapurca, which is the Machu Picchu of Ecuador. And everybody lives here on site with us, where it's just so magical. I could take up a whole show talking about it. But yeah, hey, if your heart's joining us, SriandKira.com, go to the events page. We also have amazing video telejourneys up there. There's just so much. We just love you guys. Join us.
We love to be with you.
Yeah, nothing makes us happier than being with family.
Are you guys coming to the States for anything? Do you do any seminars?
Well, what do you think? Shane, what do you think? With Oneness Talk Radio, all right, here, we're bouncing this off of you, Shane. You got to give us your opinion, what you think, because I want you there too. We're thinking of doing Oneness Live. because the whole purpose of Oneness Talk Radio is that we are all better together. You know, competition is such an illusion, and it's like, let's get together and really grow. So we're thinking maybe October in Miami to debut this. What do you think?
Ooh, that would be nice.
All right. Well, then we're counting on you. You're getting my invite.
Yeah, the concept is to create a weekend event with some of the hosts of the radio station and other people
like yourself
who are out there supporting the awakening. Let's all get together for a weekend.
Imagine a Oneness weekend.
Some events, some workshops, some dancing, some music.
Just some fun.
It's in Florida, you said? Where in Florida again? Was it Orlando or Miami?
Just because our audience is so international, we're trying to make it easy for everybody to get to.
We haven't firmed this up yet, so that's
we are literally just starting this
Miami
right now.
or LA, but Miami feels a little stronger for us, but we're open.
And we're open. I mean, would people be interested in something like that? Because we sure feel that it would be important for all of us to come together and just be.
I tell you what, I will be there and I will support it in any way I can. So.
Yay!
And we'll live stream every day and share the joy.
Yeah.
And Eileen lives there, so there's no way she won't be there. Yeah, Eileen's she does the Saturday show when we use our power of intention, the power of 888. So she lives not far from Miami, so I know she'd be able to drive there too. So
Yay!
Cool.
Turn out to be a nice little party, and then we can have you on right before then too to talk about it.
Yeah.
And is Alan and Sandra going to be there?
Yes.
Everybody.
Alan, Sandra, I'm talking to some of our other hosts, and it'll be amazing. Johanna Sand will be there, and pretty exciting. And I just, if you don't mind me just jumping in, I want to. Thursday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Brand new show. Johanna Sand and I are very excited to be bringing what I think is the first broadcast of the Women of Consciousness. And this is just about the voices of conscious, awake women that I just don't think are getting enough exposure. And so please support the show. Please join us. Send us who you think we should be interviewing. So anyway, thank you, Shane.
Oh, no problem. Now that's going to be on the Oneness Talk Radio? Or
It's at Oneness Talk Radio.
We're going to stream it to YouTube as well.
And streaming to YouTube. It's also at TFR Live, iHeart. It's syndicated. We're very grateful. And it's just called Soul Mirrors, Women, the Voices of Women of Consciousness. And so thank you.
Very nice. So you guys got so much going on. I can imagine how busy you are. Oh my God.
But this is the flow of conscious awakened mastery, right? When you are awake and conscious, the universe is like, hey, we got to all make up for lost time.
Well, your spirituality is your life.
It is ours.
And as soon as we evolve past the weekend or the occasional spiritual moment, we realize we're living it every day.
We just live it 24/7. So this is what happens when you live it 24/7. Good, bad, or
Well, you're happy, and that's like the main thing. I mean, even on the thumbnail, it said, if you're not happy doing it, why are you doing it, I think, or something.
Yeah, if it does not bring you joy, why are you doing it?
That's right.
It's worth reflecting on.
Powerful question.
Actually, it was one of the first things Archangel Zadkiel gave us. And we used to make bumper stickers when we were on what I called the carnival circuit. And I can't tell you how many people would walk up, look at that bumper sticker and throw it down and go, oh, impossible. I was like, wow, there's an illumination.
There's a limiting
There's
belief.
a thought.
Well, we got, let's see, 122 people here. I think one important thing that maybe we can cover again for those that jumped in a little bit later is these energies that we're dealing with right now until for the next 6 days. Because I think this is huge for manifesting, and we're manifestors here. So if we can touch on that again.
Well, definitely between now, right now, it's been all February, between now and the 19th, the 19th, you absolutely want to be reclaiming your dream. Was there some point in your life where you had a dream that you've let go? Is there something you've been working on that just hasn't quite started clicking? This is the moment. Focus on it, get clear on it, bring it up, because here's what's going to happen, Shane. Starting February 19th through April 16th, you're going to get so much amplitude, so much momentum if you're clear. And if you're not clear, it'll be okay. It's just not going to be as flowing, right?
And this it all ties back, to the healing, to the clarity.
Right.
When we're holding conflicting motivations inside, then the universe is going to amplify the conflict. When we're holding singularity of purpose, the universe is going to amplify that. and so what happens, and there's no mistakes. Let's say you say, okay, I'm clear, I'm going this direction, and it doesn't quite click. look at what came in. Look at the people and the circumstances that happen, and let it teach you what you weren't looking at inside. Once you see it, it's healed. All you have to do is look at something and it'll heal.
That's the yoga of self-ascension. We are constantly becoming masters while we were in body. And that was Archangel Zadkiel's biggest laugh. When Shri asked him about ascension, Zadkiel laughed and said, we find this so funny because you're trying to ascend back to that which you already are. It's about self-ascension and remembering while you're still here.
I hear that. That's great advice. So what advice would you give to somebody that's trying to get clear, but maybe they got two things on their plate. They're like, well, I don't know if I should do this or if I should do that. I think my heart would be in either one of them. I know some people are kind of on the fence, for lack of a better term, about maybe which direction they should go. And I always feel like there's not really a right or a wrong. There might be an easier way you can go, but I think you'll end up at the right place regardless. But for somebody to be happier and more on purpose, what advice would you give to someone who's looking at options?
First thing I would say is pay attention to the flow. Which one is already flowing? I don't care whether you think they're not. One is already flowing more. Yeah. So pay attention. And because whatever is flowing more is the universe already saying, here you go. And chances are, right, and chances are that the other option is only there because the universe is always asking, are you ready? Every time you think you've mastered something, I guarantee you it will show up again. And that's the universe just saying, are you really ready? Are you really sure? And so that's why you always have more than one option in front of you. And the other thing I would share with you is before you go to bed at night, go into conscious dreaming and invite the universe to show you. Say, I need a clear message, and command the light. We forget that we have the power to command the light, and your heart is your safety valve. So you can't command the light for malice. It won't work. But if you're in, the miracle energy is sincerity, love, and presence. What are you sincerely looking at? Pay attention to where that love is coming from. Is it conditional or unconditional? And then can you really live it? And if you can, that's the place where miracles happen. It's sincerity, love, and presence equals miracles in motion.
And you won't lose anything. Sometimes we have these two options and they're both yummy. Okay. You pick one, you dedicate yourself to that. And if the other one was important, it'll circle back in later.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
That's great advice, and it's like I always paraphrase it this way, but it's really that same thing with the flow or whatever. I live my life through I guess synchronicities and open doors.
There you are.
If I've got a couple of options, it's like the easier flow way is where the door seems to open and you just kind of walk through it and trust that. There's that word again. You trust that. If you're in that flow, you'll flow right through the right door.
Absolutely, and not to beat yourself up if you don't. Celebrate that you dodged a bullet. Just celebrate it.
Definitely.
Nice.
Well, I loved having you guys on. The hour's already gone. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you got coming up or anything? Or have we covered everything?
How kind of you to ask. The only thing we would want to share is please check out onenesstalkradio.com. Onenesstalkradio.com is a positivity portal with amazing music, amazing shows.
Wide variety of hosts.
And it's growing every day. It's getting larger and larger. And
you can carry it in your pocket, on your cell phone.
It's right there on the app, and you can listen to it. And so that would be the only other thing. Then I would just encourage people really, check out shrinkura.com. There's so much information there. I know it can be intimidating, but there's always a moment when you need to remember that you are not alone. There are people that absolutely understand what you're going through, and that together we are better.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up, because that's really what our group is all about here. Is we're like, oh my gosh, we're finding other people that's like us, and it really
right
is
on.
nice.
Yeah. You're not crazy.
Well, and thank you for putting your energy into this.
Yeah, Shane, you are amazing.
Because it takes
honored.
energy to bring it all together.
And someone with your talent to say, hey, let me put it together this way and see, this is the new world. You're modeling it. And that's what radical authenticity is. Radical authenticity is saying, you know what? Forget all this BS that everybody's talking about. I'm just going to do it. you know, and I'm going to do it from my heart. I'm going to do it authentically. And I bow before you because that is seriously the way to go. And thank you.
We're grateful
with all
for
our
you.
heart. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. I'm thankful for you guys as well. And it really, you know, for me, I feel like I'm just happy to be a part of the team. So much in life we're discluded from, you know, from the group or whatever. And it's like now we've got all the outcasts coming together and like, hey, look how powerful we are.
Right on.
So it's right on. Let me make sure I don't have any quick questions here.
Sure.
Let's see. No, it doesn't look like I missed anything. Everybody's saying great show. Michelle's loving it. So I did give you a shout out in the beginning, Michelle, to let them know how much
you did, Michelle.
you love
Yeah.
Well, awesome. We'll definitely want to have you guys back sometime. And
that would be our honor. We would love to,
pleasure.
Shane. Just let us know. And hey, I'm seeing you in Miami. I'm telling you right
definitely.
now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we've been trying to figure out when we're going to meet with already with Alan and Sandra. So
it'll be there. Well, let's all put this together. This is going to be amazing because this is the year. This is the moment. We can do this.
I've always wanted to go to Miami too. I think
Perfect.
Pensacola was about as far as I've made it. But
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to give you a reason.
Get there while you can still put your toes in the sand.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone is thanking you, and
thank you.
so lots of love to you guys in the chat. Thanks for being here with us. Make sure you go check out those links below to get the updates from Cherie and Kira, and thank you too so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Our honor.
Shane, it is our honor. Thank you, sweetheart. We love you so much. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's so important.
Thank you so much. All right, bye-bye, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Namaste.
If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.